Talk Radio. The Unexplained with Howard Hughes on Talk Radio.
Two recent UFO sightings in Kyushu, Japan's Western Island. One as recent as the 11th of October. That was a formation of silver and white orbs. These have got people talking, including Phillip Jackson, a Brit who lives in Kyoto, and he's online to us now. The clocks have gone back here. Phillip, I don't know what the time might be. I can hear the birds singing there, by the way. So what time is it in Kyoto? On Monday, I guess.
Okay. Good morning, Howard. Yes, and I nearly got caught out with the time change, actually, because obviously we don't change the clocks here. So yeah, I'm out in the park at the moment because I'm en route to Osaka this morning, which is why I nearly got caught out with the time. But wow. It's 7:20, about 7:20.
No, it's very atmospheric to hear the sound effects there going on in the background. So look, there's been a bit of a UFO sensation there over the last few weeks, hasn't there, with people reporting sightings?
Yeah, well, when we spoke last time, the Japanese government had just put together new protocols for the military for dealing with UFO sightings. And since then, there's been quite a few sightings, but none of them have come up in the Japanese mainstream media, and the government said nothing about them at all. These have all come up on either foreign news sites or Japanese UFO websites. There was one, actually, the first one was over a stadium in Yokohama at the beginning of Osaka, at the beginning of October. And that was a set of lights above the stadium. And one UFO researcher in the States put forward the idea that maybe they were watching how the Japanese population are dealing with coronavirus by going back to stadiums and things like that. But the picture on that particular one wasn't very good, and the stadium said it was actually an advertising light that they had coming up from the stadium. So that there wasn't much behind that. But in Kyushu, Japan, the main islands of Japan is Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. And then there's been quite a few sightings in Kyushu which have been a bit, I don't know if you'd call them reliable, but maybe a bit better sightings. So over Kagoshima, overlooking the town of Kagoshima, there's a volcano, Sakurajima, which over the years has been quite active for UFO sightings. And on October the 5th, it was about 10:15 at night, there's a webcam of the city which looks over the city and the volcano, which you can watch live on YouTube. And this is where the sightings were found, where they were picked up. The first one, October the 5th, 10:15 at night, a single light which was leading a group of lights behind it basically went across the screen. And it looked almost like maybe a lead ship pulling along.
Like a convoy, because in some parts of the world, including this one, people have mistaken Elon Musk's Starlink satellites for these things.
Yeah. Well,
but of course, they can't all be.
No, I mean, I've seen the videos of the Starlink satellites online, and it's quite different. And then when I checked other sightings in the area, the next day, October the 6th, 5:15, there was another sighting, and then a third sighting on October the 8th at 9 p.m. Now, the second one was quite interesting because whereas the first one, there was a leading light at the front, the second one, the single light was at the back. So that kind of rules out the idea of a flock of birds with one leading bird guiding the flock, because this bird, this single light was at the back as opposed to the front. And on that video as well, it had been enlarged up to 500 times the size.
Right, so there seems to be something that they haven't explained at the moment. Are there UFO investigators in Japan? Are there, like in America, there are loads. Australia has groups. Here in the UK, we've got active groups who observe the skies and study UFOs. Is there that kind of thing in Japan?
There is, but it's on a much smaller scale than the UK or the United States. So there are some websites where people it's a hobby. There is Stephen Greer, who does his CE5 groups around the world. There is a group, I think, in Tokyo that are connected to that as well. But yeah, there's not a lot of groups like that across Japan.
Right, and just finally, and it's lovely to hear the birds sing in that location. I don't know whether in that park that you're in. And thank you again for doing this on your Monday morning, Philip. But are the newspapers picking up on this widely? Is it something that people are really interested in generally?
People are interested, but the newspapers are not picking up on it at all. There was another case where a care worker returning home took a video of 7 or 8 orbs in the sky. And this was in Kyushu as well, in Nagasaki. And this was a really clear video. And it was very similar to sightings over Osaka in 2015 and Yokohama in 2018, but nothing in the mainstream media at all on that.
Isn't that interesting? There would be, I think the papers here in the UK, they'd be all over that. Philip, listen, please stay in touch. Thank you very much. We'll talk again. Phillip Jackson in Kyoto, Japan. And isn't it amazing? It's the power of radio these days and the fact that we're so interconnected that he's actually there in a park on his way to what he has to do on Monday morning as it is there for him, and you can hear the birds singing.
Talk Radio. The Unexplained with Howard Hughes on Talk Radio.